spring, because it's coming, Jamie Shaner, who is the owner of Home Solutions of Western New York, and we welcome her back. She helped us organize, or plan to organize for the fall, but I think with the holidays we might have gotten distracted. So Jamie, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me back, Tammie.
Spring puts us in the mood, but sometimes we get overwhelmed. So help us feel a little better. Give us a little bit about your business first, so people, if they missed you in the fall, know who you are.
Okay, well, my business is Home Solutions of Western New York, Inc. We specialize in organizing, downsizing, decluttering, and senior move management. So we can help people streamline processes at home, make cupboards and closets and drawers function better. We can help get people from point A to point B if they're downsizing, or maybe just moving from independent living to senior living or assisted living. We take care of all the aspects that get them from point A to point B. We're not a moving company, but I work with moving companies and I know who to recommend for just about any service that somebody might need.
So organizing is sometimes it's a daunting feeling. You know, the project, you know you have to do it, but sometimes even just getting to the first step is difficult. But I can tell you through my own experience that having something like a closet organized, you feel so much better. You have such control, and it takes less effort once you get there. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And what I tell people is, instead of looking at the whole big picture, break it down. I tell people to baby step your way to success. So instead of looking at, if it's, say you want to organize your kitchen, instead of looking at the whole kitchen, break it down into components: the dishes, the small appliances, the linens, whatever it might be. You know, get all your coffee mugs together and sort through them. If it's a closet, I say take everything out and then examine each thing before you put it back in, whether it's clothes or linens or whatever. Oftentimes when we're helping somebody organize a linen closet, we'll discover that they've got sheets in there for beds that don't even exist in the home anymore. They'll say, oh my goodness, there's 14 sets of twin sheets and we don't have a twin bed.
Hard to throw things out sometimes, though.
It is,
right?
But instead of throwing things away, if they're still useful or functional and can serve a purpose for somebody else, we'll make sure that they get somewhere where they can be used, either through donation, consignment, whether there's maybe enough for an estate sale or an auctioneer, whatever it might be. But we never throw anything away if it can be used by someone else.
So that makes me feel better already. You know,
There you
I
go.
can't use it. And if it's cluttering things up, why bother?
Right.
How many sets of sheets do you recommend? Because honestly, I'm wrestling with that right now. You know, like you want one to switch it out to.
Sure.
But what do you think?
Usually I tell people 2 sets per bed. And if you like to have flannel sheets in the wintertime, you know, yes. My
Still using flannel now.
My husband would love flannel sheets,
Yeah.
and I'm afraid that I would spontaneously combust if we had flannel
So you
sheets.
had half and half?
So no,
Okay.
no flannel
He happens
sheets.
to be in the audience, so we could ask him what he
is.
thinks.
But so 2 sets of sheets is typically enough, unless there are issues either with incontinence or with night sweats or things like that, where you might need to change them a little more often.
happens.
But 3
Yeah.
sets then should be enough, because how many?
Right, it's true. I
It-
know. Another question, because this is something I'm wrestling with, so I can ask you because you're on here.
Yeah.
What is the best way to store a sheet? They're all so, like, I can never fold them right.
Well,
So what is your trick
there are
for that?
tutorials for folding a fitted sheet. It's really not that hard. So you take your fitted sheet, put your hands in the 2 corners, and you match them over each other. Then now you take that and you match these corners, and you put those over each other, and then you just sort of fold it like an L into thirds. The best way to put them into a linen closet is with a finished side out, rather than seeing lots of folds, because it
looks
visually
nicer.
looks nicer. Some people, there's different ways different organizers will present, and some people say they like to put all the sheets into a pillowcase for the sheet set. I say, I don't want to have to yank them out of a pillowcase.
Yeah. You want an instant access.
Yeah, fitted sheet, top sheet, pillowcases. It's just a set. Fitted sheet, top sheet, pillowcases. It's not that hard.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I was going to resort to keeping one of those zipper things that you get sheets in, and then put them in there with a downy sheet.
If you want to
I'm gonna
have to
try it.
unzip them every time you need them.
It's square. I don't know. So whatever. Right? You're the solution person.
I say, the least steps necessary
Yes.
to get the job done.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when somebody calls you, they're not even sure what they're asking. They just know they need organization. What is your first step with that client to be?
So what I tell them, the first thing we do is an in-home consultation. I go and I visit, and I do that free of charge, where I say, I need to see your space and what your issues are, and you need to meet me in person, and then we see if we click. And oftentimes when somebody's calling for one area, typically there's a little
Other
bit more
areas.
going on, and oftentimes we can come up with solutions. If I can see the whole house, I can say, okay, well, this is happening here, but if we use that thing that you're not, you need to find a home for, we can put it here and we can use it, little shelves and things like that in a closet can make a difference. So I like to shop the house, so I like to see the whole house and see what's available. And if things go well, then we set up an actual appointment to do the work. I have a couple of employees that will work with me on larger jobs, so it can be just me, it could be one of my employees, it can be all three of us at once, depending on what's
It's a
needed.
big job.
But the first thing is the free consultation where people talk, and because I've been doing this for 12 years and I know what questions to ask and I know what to listen for, sometimes they ask me to come for something that's not really the main issue.
Okay,
So-
and so you
so you
and I
can
know
dig
you
a little bit.
You come in with no judgment. You're there
No.
really just to help, and I love that style because I would feel like I could let you see all my
Oh.
air quotes dirty laundry and you wouldn't make fun of me, right?
I actually just put up a Facebook post and it said people often will say to me, "Is this the worst you've ever seen?" Or I'm gonna scare you. If you come and look and you see it, you're gonna be scared. And I say, you can't scare me. You just can't. And so people try. There are a few jobs that were a little bit beyond our capabilities because of,
The complexity.
yeah, we'll just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
no, I get it. Sometimes,
not
you
even
know-
so much the complexity, but just the living conditions. It needed to be addressed before we could come in and do work. So
Well, and sometimes you see the movie or the series, The Hoarders. Like some
Right.
people really have to get that emotional psychology stuff under
Right.
control because that will never get better. You can only clean up and organize so many times before you have to fix the problem first.
exactly,
Right? So,
and that happens too, where I'll get a call from family members saying, my mom and dad, one of them has hoarding tendencies, the other one is an enabler. We want them to get help, but they don't want the help. I say, I can't help
help.
somebody that doesn't want the help. When somebody with hoarding tendencies wants help, we can be very successful. If they're being forced into help, either social services have been in or adult family services, or if somebody's been into the home, maybe a family member can't come home from the hospital or children are potentially being removed from the home. If they don't want the help, if they're being forced into it, nothing we do will stick.
make it better. Well, you deal more often than not, though, with the probably the general population,
Yes, much more.
And dealing with we're talking a little bit about Easter and how, like it's a little smaller this year than it's been. As people get older and their children grow up and move away, you have a smaller and smaller need generally.
Sure.
How do you kind of work with somebody who's trying to downsize, but it's sort of sad too because they're that's kind of a sad recognition if less people are around your table, or your children have moved away,
Sure.
or you need to go into a smaller home.
Right. Well, it can be sad, but sometimes we try to rephrase it in thinking, clutter raises our cortisol levels, and that's our stress hormone. And a lot of times it is clutter. It's not just I have too many dishes, but it's a lot of surface clutter, a lot of decor, a lot of collections that have just accumulated over time. So what we'll try to work with people is let's keep what you love, but let's downsize it. So if you've got 20 Hummels, let's pick your favorite 6 and let's appropriately display them. Whether you're staying in the home or you're downsizing to a smaller place. So it's not sad when I can assure them that the things that they're letting go will go somewhere to somebody who will love them. Even recently working with somebody who's downsizing just personal care products, the little travel size things. Used to travel, so she saved all these things, and so she just said, I don't know what to do with these. I can't throw them away. I said, let's bag them up and I'll take them and I'll make sure they go. Refugee families coming in, all those little things, the VA, like people can use these things. I'll make sure that they go somewhere. And then they're really oftentimes, 90% of the time, willing to let them go. As long as I can assure them they will go somewhere to somebody who can use them, they let them go.
It makes it feel better.
Yeah, it does.
Like it wasn't a waste
And
to
even
collect them.
sometimes just where to take them. You don't have to worry about it. I'll take them. We just took household chemicals, cleaning products, paints, and things that can no longer be used. I say, we'll box them up, and I will take them to Hazman. It costs a little bit to do the right thing, but I'll get them there, and we'll do the right thing. And shredding, I'll take it to a shredding service. And
it can be Herculean. If you don't keep up with it, you can feel like it's overwhelming.
Because that's the other thing. When people are downsizing and they'll say, "Oh, I spent 3 hours last night shredding," I go, for $15 a box, let me just take it away. There's 1,000 other things you could do with those 3 hours of your time. So
yes, that's a good point. I didn't even know that. So you could certainly look into that. I want to make sure that I wanted to talk, because we're talking about senior move management. I want to make sure we get all of this in there. You can, and you recently just did this with some clients. I know you oversee the move too, so you're making sure that everything's going where it needs to go. You don't just help them organize and then you walk away. You're really managing that.
No, a job we just finished today. So we went into the home, we packed all the things that were being sent to an out-of-state daughter. We labeled all the furniture. I made a floor plan. I do graph out a floor plan, so we know every piece of furniture, where it's going to go, and then it's all labeled with where it's going to go in the house. So we know there's no surprises. When the moving men come with the furniture, it's never going to be, yikes, this doesn't fit.
They love you. They're like, oh, it's Jamie, thank God, it'll all go well.
They do.
Okay.
So then we came in, we pack everything up, we take away whatever, donations we need to take away. The movers come, either we oversee the movers, direct them with what's going, or if there's a family member there that can do that, then we take a couple carloads of boxes ahead of the movers, and we start unpacking, so we have no downtime. So we're unpacking and settling the kitchen and the bathrooms and anything that we can. The movers show up, now we know where all the furniture is going to get placed. And today at 2:30, everything was done. Every box was gone, the bed was made, the bathrooms were set up, the decor was out. It was over. It was done.
That's amazing.
And this client was very anxious. She lived in her home for many years. It was a huge 3-story Buffalo City home. She was really anxious about the process and worried about the movers and worried about her very special things. And when she got there and saw that everything was there and it fit and her special decor pieces came unscathed, she was overwhelmed with joy. She was like, I can't believe it. You were right. It worked. So she was really happy.
How did the conversation start with where those things, 3 stories of stuff is a lot. Yeah. How long did it take you to kind of maneuver and to negotiate? I'm sure there's some negotiation in that. It sounds like
there is.
How long does that take to be able to decide before that moving day?
It depends on the person. So we started packing her with this person. We knew we needed shorter days. So we did 3 days of 3 hours each. That, some clients we might go in and do a blitz and pack for 6 hours and we're done. But this we knew, at the end of 3 hours, we needed to be out of her hair. So we did three days of packing, and that was it. So I had met with her before that to work out the floor plan. So we kind of do that first, so we know what's going to go, and then figure out where you're losing this linen closet, but you're gaining this drawer space. So let's put these things in here, and now we don't have to worry about where they're going to go. So a lot of the logistics are worked out ahead of time, and it really does make move day pretty seamless.
And if you're not used to doing that mind strategy, you really wouldn't know to necessarily save this for this and that sort of thing. We're going to go to a quick break, but before we go, Jamie, give us a website, a telephone number, Facebook, whatever you've got, so we can find you.
I've got all those things. www.homesolutionswny.com. Phone number 716-984-4841. Facebook page is Home Solutions Organizing.
Okay, you can even like her. Just like her on Facebook.
Give me a thumbs up. What's
all
not
that
to
stuff.
Like about organizing tips,
I know.
right?
So we'll be back with plenty more. Don't go away here on Western New York Tonight. Welcome back to Western New York Tonight. I'm your host, Tammie Lee. Also welcome those listening on WLNF. I'm sharing my secrets here with Jamie, letting it all out. She's helped me, hopefully getting me better organized. Jamie Shaner, owner of Home Solutions of Western New York. She's been on before. We want to have her on at least every 6 months so that we can get organized or sooner.
You're the best interviewer.
I love having you. Thank you. So as we were sharing my secrets, we were talking about not me, but other people and tips that you can share to make life better. Decluttering, paper and taxes. What do you want to tackle first?
It's April, and and April 15th is looming, and so for a lot of people that sends them into full-blown panic mode, and I say, okay, maybe it's a little late for this year, but what you want to have is simply a hanging folder in your file that says current year tax records. You don't have to label it by year because it'll always say current year because you'll always have a current year.
That's super smart.
And so every time you make a charitable donation, every time you get a receipt for your property taxes, you just drop it in that folder. So at the beginning of the year, when your 1099s start coming in or you get your W-2, everything just drops into that folder that says current year tax records. So when you're ready to either start preparing your own taxes or to gather stuff for your accountant, you simply pull out that folder and there it is. You may have to add up your donations if if somebody's going to prepare them, they just want a number, but it's all in one place. And I can't tell you how much time that saves, because I've worked with clients that say, well, I'm 2 years behind, I'm 4 years behind, I haven't filed taxes for 6 years.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Because I don't.
They're overwhelmed.
They're overwhelmed and papers are everywhere. So we just start. So for papers, what I tell people is if you start with a simple, a hanging file box or a crate, and you just get some simple hanging files and Post-it notes. And every time you pick up a piece of paper and you identify what it is, then you make a folder. Okay, this is property records. This is pet information. This is my medical records.
Insurance.
This is right.
Yeah.
This is, and insurance should have some subcategories. There's life insurance, there's car insurance, homeowners insurance, and health insurance. So if you had one insurance folder, it would be too fat and you'd need 3 men and a boy to lift it out of the file. But
Right.
if you break it down into some categories, then whenever the stuff comes, you just drop it in there. There it is. So when you're looking for something, the title to your car, if you're going to sell your car, you need the title. It should be in a folder labeled, Tammie's car.
Right.
And there it is. So when people don't have a file system, then we create one so that as we touch each piece of paper, we ask, do we need to keep it? If we need to keep it, do we need to keep it in our daily basis, or does it need to go into our archives? Like, it's my 2012 taxes, I need to keep them, but I don't need to keep them in my day-to-day file. So if you want to have a place for something to go, you have to make it a home.
But now, so people will argue, and this is the other side of the coin. When I come home, I'm just too busy. I barely get through the mail. Can you make an instantaneous decision about that thing, and then have it go to a place of later reflection?
Yes.
But you have to reflect on it. You have to be like a weekly reflection, or have a
Absolutely.
regular.
So no, that's a great question. I love that question. So what I tell people, when the mail comes in, if you're not going to open and process it right there should be one place where it goes. So that when you're ready to open and process your mail, you're not gathering it from the kitchen counter, the chair, the arm, the stairs, where it's not, it's one place.
Yes.
So now I'm ready to open and process my mail. Okay, so I'm opening it right away. Next to your place where you open and process your mail, you should have 2 bins or baskets. One says recycle and one says shred. The other things are going to need to be dispersed into areas. So as soon as you have a piece of junk mail in your hand, just set it in the recycle basket.
Or just shred it if you're going to be in
And-
doubt,
and
because
shred
sometimes
it.
that decision is like, oh,
Right, because
painful.
if you say, oh, I need to shred this, but then you set it back down, you're going to have to pick it back up again and make that same decision. Oh yeah, I have to shred this. Set it back down. Oh yeah, I have to. It's like Groundhog Day.
Never
So
ends.
put it in something that says shredded, or set it in a basket on top of your shredder. So now it's been identified. So you know this is what I need to shred. So when I'm watching Modern Family, I can sit during the commercial breaks and do all my shredding or whatever. I don't know why I just said that.
No,
But-
because you like that show.
But so then there's the things. Okay, these are bills I have to pay. I only pay bills twice a month. Most of my bills are automated, and most of my things I don't get paper bills for. It's all email automated. But if I get a paper bill, so I have a folder, 1st to the 15th, 16th to the 30th. So if I know this is a bill I have to pay the second half of the month, it just goes in that folder. There it
don't have
is.
to
So when
think
I'm
about
ready to pay my bills, I just pull out one folder, and there they are. So I never have to pay a late fee. And again, I can't tell you how many clients I've helped where they're paying hundreds of dollars a month in late fees, not because they can't afford to pay their bills, but because their bills get misplaced and they don't pay them on time. It's $35 a pop, minimum.
It's hard to believe, but I do believe that that's true.
Right.
And
I promise you it's true.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then there's things you have to do. I have to respond to this. I have to make this appointment. I have to do that. So then you have a to-do folder or a to-do bin or something. So as you're processing your mail, it's either going to get filed, recycled, shred, paid, or to do. Those are really, those categories are the same for everybody. So if you make a system, whether it's in trays or baskets or folders or whatever will work for you. Some people need everything out. They like to see it. So we create a visually pleasing system that sits on a desk that they can use. Some people like everything in a drawer because they don't want anything out. But and other people will say to me, if I put it in a drawer, I'll forget about it. I'll never find it. I'll never know where it is. And I say, that's not true. Yes, it is. They'll argue with me and I say, okay, let me ask you this. At dinner time, when you go to set the table, is all your silverware scattered on your counters or is it in a drawer and you know where to find it? It's in a drawer and I know where to find it. Where's your wine glass when you need a glass of wine? And then the cupboard, I know where to find it. So it's the same thing. So when people use it as an excuse, oh no, I need it all out or I won't know where to find it, that's not true.
Right, because you really literally even could have, and I'm not advocating this, but you could literally have all that stuff in a basket that you could pull out every week and go through it.
Absolutely.
You know,
there's portable things,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to be able to, you know, sit on the couch while you're, you know, watching TV or eating bonbons or whatever, yeah.
But going back to the point of feeling better, I mean, the sense of that, you have to put a little bit of investment into that, but the payoff is just the mental wealth feeling.
When you said, when, you know, I come home and I'm tired, so people say, I'm too tired. I say, all right, well, you can take 5 minutes today to deal with today's mail, or you can take 35 minutes at the end of the week to deal with the week's mail, or you can take, you know, 2 hours at the end of the month to do it. So what's
not
more?
gaining anything.
You're not.
Yeah.
It takes the same amount of time. So to me, small increments, it's just much more manageable.
How about cleaning? We haven't ever really touched on that, and I don't even know if you have necessarily an opinion about this, but how do you...
I'm against it.
I'm totally against it. Do you have any suggestions for keeping up with that? I mean, in the context of home organization, how does somebody who maybe can't hire a cleaning lady better organize their time?
I can't hire a cleaning lady.
I'd rather do it myself. Maybe.
Yes.
But anyways.
Rather do or just, yeah, I agree. So for me, I feel that if you keep yourself organized, if your home is organized, you really don't have to clean as much. Dusting is pretty, you know, it's pretty easy to do. So if surfaces are clear,
So dust quickly.
you just dust quickly and it's done. I remember growing up, it was every Saturday, it was a big, you know, 3-hour extravaganza to blitz through the house and clean, clean, clean. I don't want to take my weekend and designate time for cleaning. So I'd rather just, you know, take a room a day. Today I'm going to dust through the dining room and make sure that everything is in its place. Tomorrow I'm going to dust through the living room. And so a little bit, but it doesn't take me much effort because there's not clutter to deal with.
Yes.
Things are put away.
And plus, you're tired from cleaning everybody else's
Right.
unorganized stuff, you know. So, you have down here too. We talked about paper piles and being organized, but you have getting organized in tips, and part of it is being able to have. You described a home central, but functional storage, and that would include Tupperware, avalanche of Tupperware. Everybody can relate
Because
to
everybody
that.
has way too much,
know.
and people will say, you know, my
But the
kid-
lid was on there.
right.
Just a
Well,
little
first
bit
of
ago.
all, if you know, every base needs to have a lid. So I tend to like the disposable, stackable, nestable pieces for the things that are, if I'm, you know, we had Easter dinner and I send food home with my son. Well, I don't want to send my nice glass dishes that I like. So here, you know, so I have stuff that I can send away. I don't care if I ever get it back, because I can just go to Wegmans and
Get
buy
more.
more if I need more. So I have one shelf of plastic Tupperware and it all nests. So there's, you know, this size and then that size and then the little size, and they're all on one shelf and they nest, and that's all I need, because how much food do you store at one time?
But do you never have like a loose missing piece?
If I do, if something, you know, sometimes if you store, say, something real acidic like tomato sauce and it gets heated in the microwave and it eats the thing, it goes into the
You
recycle
just toss
bin.
it out, okay.
Yeah,
Or
just
recycle,
yeah.
right, because it can be recycled.
Yep.
Good point, okay.
And then it's gone.
What would you say on the top 10 list of things that you see? You've named a few. Are we missing anything that would be, you know, a tip? Because I know you do a lot of seminars and presentations.
Things, I would almost say accessories and clothes, like shoes, clothes, purses,
We tend to overdo
scarves,
it.
ties. You know, how many can you, How many can you use, and do you need, and do you love? Those are my parameters, which I've talked about before. Do you need it? Do you use it? Do you love it? Do you have the room to store it? So if you're a man and you like to wear ties and you have the room to store 50 ties, great. But oftentimes when we're downsizing and they're overwhelmed by the number of, say, ties or scarves, so they don't downsize them. They say, just pack them and take them all. I'm like, well, once they get over there, what are you going to do with them?
Good point.
So let's pick out your favorite 20, your favorite 10. And then the wife will say, he doesn't even wear ties.
So get rid of them all.
And then
one.
he'll say, well, how many scarves does, so people tend to like to point fingers at the other person.
Well, it's really so helpful. And I hate that we're out of time. We got to take a break and we're going to be switching gears. But you'll come back, you promise?
Sure, promise.
Give us a telephone number, a website, all those good things.
Area code 716-984-4841. Website is www.homesolutionswny.com.
Perfect. And somebody wants to make an appointment with you. What's kind of like
We're usually a couple weeks out. I can do consultations. I can tuck those in here and there. But we're usually a couple weeks out right now. We're almost fully booked for April.
All right. Well, keep thinking because it's May and June, and then the middle of the summer will be here. So make sure you get a hold of Jamie. And thanks so much. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.